Hello, my name is Shanta, and I'm just making this video to um, document my stem cell journey that I'm going to start. I'm going to be admitted to the hospital August 11th, so I will start documenting now. So I guess I'll start with how things started for me as far as my multiple sclerosis journey. I started with MS like most people do. I'm currently in the secondary progressive stage. So I first was diagnosed in 2014 after an MRI, but looking back at it, I probably started the disease course in 2008, 2009. I just kind of ignored the symptoms because, a lot of people, the more research I do, a lot of people just kind of brush it off to the side and move on with life. And that's exactly what I did. I had eyes darting from side to side. I was super clumsy, super ditzy. I kind of made them anyway, but more so. I had no balance, and I couldn't pee. Like, I kept having this hesitancy. Like, I didn't just go automatic. Also, I would get numb in my feet whenever I would go for a run. And I didn't understand why. And again, you just kind of brush it off. I also, for a few months, I'd get numb in my arms or my legs. And again, like I said, I would just brush it off. At the time, I was not making much money, and I did not have good insurance. So if I could avoid going to the doctor, I totally would. So in 2014, I got a better job that had great insurance. So I thought, it might be time for me to go to the doctor because I was going numb from my waist down. My general practitioner said everything was fine. She didn't know what was up. When I went home and I Googled some symptoms, it kept coming up multiple sclerosis. And everything they talked about as far as symptoms, I had. So I thought to myself, what doctor do I need to see? Because my general practitioner didn't know what was up, and I knew that there was something. So I looked it up. I Googled it. It was Dr. Google, and it came up a neurologist. So I also Googled one that's close by, and I made an appointment. My mother and father came with me to my first appointment. She asked me a bunch of questions. I don't remember. It was such a long time ago. But she did ask me a lot of questions, and she told me I was going to have to do an MRI, that a lumbar puncture is also something to do, but she would try to avoid it because it's painful and for no reason. An MRI can tell you everything you need to know. So she asked me, do you think you have any idea of what this could be? And I knew she wanted me to say, because I knew she knew I knew. And I was like, multiple sclerosis. And she kind of nodded her head. She said, that's what we're going to check for. And so I went and I got my MRI done. And she called me a couple days later and told me that she saw lesions on my spine and on my brain. So she officially diagnosed me with MS, and that's how it first happened. Fast forward, I met the love of my life. We got married, and I got off my first medication, which was Plegridy, and then I had transitioned to Copaxone because Plegridy was reducing my white blood cell too much. So she switched me to, my neuro switched me to Copaxone, and I changed that and I stopped soon after I got married because we were going to try and have a baby. And so I stopped my medication, which, you know, isn't ideal, but I wanted a baby. So I got pregnant, and I was fine. And I had my baby, and I was fine. I didn't relapse, nothing. In fact, I've never had a situation where I felt like an attack was happening. It's just, it has kind of slowly progressed. And, but I'm assuming that was what was happening while I was not on medication and after I gave birth, because I didn't go back on medicine after I had my baby because I was breastfeeding for a little while. So I didn't do that. And then eventually I got back on medicine. I got back on my Copaxone. And fast forward, it was time for me to give my child some siblings. So I was going to try to conceive again. And it was taking longer than I expected. So I was off medication for a really long time. And since it was taking so long and I knew I had to get back on my meds, I decided to do IVF. And I did that 2 times, just abusing my body. And during the process of IVF, you have to take a lot of medication and a lot of shots, and I was doing all of that. Again, I didn't feel like I was having an attack when I look back at it, but it was happening progressively, insidiously. So I got pregnant with twin girls with my second round of IVF. And the pregnancy was hard because you're carrying around 2 babies. And I do remember when I was on my baby moon, my husband and I were walking down Canal Street, and it was really hard for me. We were walking around a lake also, and it was really, really hard. So I assumed it was because I was pregnant with twins. But now that I look back at it, it probably was my MS as well as being pregnant with twins. So when you're pregnant with twins, it's really hard to move in the last trimester. So I was not moving. I was sitting on the couch all day because I didn't want to go into labor early. You know, and that is, like, everybody knows, that is the worst thing you can do with that mask, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And I was definitely, because I wasn't going to the gym, I was just kind of sitting down and trying to take it as easy as possible. So the day came where I was having my C-section, and I delivered 2 healthy babies. But soon after, I don't know, it just got hard to walk. I started having seizures. Things just got really difficult. My brain fog was horrible. It was just a really bad time. And my family was super worried about me. And I told my neurologist about all the trouble I was having. Like, I used to be able to walk 4 miles a day with my husband and my son. But now that I had these twins, I couldn't do it. It was getting really hard in the heat. It was like impossible to do it this time. And you know, you want to go for walks with your kids, but I couldn't do it. It was just too hard. My legs were tripping over themselves, and I just was not having an easy time. So I decided I was going to tell my neurologist that I was interested in stem cell transplant. And she didn't know much about it, so she referred me to the Cleveland Clinic, which has a doctor who's in charge of it, and he's world-renowned. So I went to him, and he told me that I was not ready at this point, that he wanted to try me on Ocrevus for a little while and see how things go. Fast forward to last May, I was doing like the peg test, and I remember my right hand, which was not affected before, like I couldn't get the damn peg in the hole. And my left hand, forget about it, because the left side of my body has really gotten bad. I have a lot of ataxia, and my neuro saw that, and she saw my husband cry about it, because things have been really hard, especially trying to take care of 3 children. So she went and got this doctor that I had initially talked to, and she basically told him I was declining regardless of being on Ocrevus, which is actually one of the reasons why they do stem cell for you, is when you have failed at a highly efficacious treatment. So I qualified at this point. So far I've done a lot of like tests and things, like a EKG, an echocardiogram. I also did some breathing tests, pulmonary tests. They've done all kinds of blood work, at chest x-ray, and my MRI, like a T7 MRI. So I have done a lot of testing, and they're going to mail this out to my insurance. So we will see what insurance says, but the clinic says that they have never really had an issue getting insurance to cover it, because I think it's like $150,000 otherwise. So we'll see what insurance says, and I'm going to link below for you the pamphlet that the Cleveland Clinic gave me on AHSTC. So like I said, it'll be below, and the next time I see you will be in a week or so, or a couple weeks, when I hear back from insurance, and when I shave my head. I'll talk to you soon.